Finally they are at the elven forest. They felt an attack which was from the wind spirit and it is currently near the spirit forest. They weren't supposed to feel the wind cause the spirit was way too far. The wind was caused by the rampage, so they said unknowingly it was wind spirit Jean. But it definitely wasn't the rampage cause it is getting closer and closer. Will says he is truly grateful that the other party decided to come themselves, so they would also witness how powerful he is. He had his plans because he was obviously in charge of the story, but the wind was getting stronger and stronger cause the wind spirit was around. Jean, the wind spirit, and Will Campbell began to fight using magic, but Jean immediately changed to a physical when he realized that the spirit magic was getting repelled. Will knew quite well that the wind spirit is still in its right senses to make the wise decisions despite being on rampage and then decided to use a different method. He takes out a glowing dagger with flames and fumes all over it and he called it the dagger of flame magic. It was gotten from a black market in the slum. Will stated that he would defeat the wind spirit using the dagger. He explains that Jin's wind magic can be threatening with a low fight ability, making it easier to read Jin's movement when it's on rampage. As long as one understands how to take care of wind magic and is aware of its weaknesses, it would be easy to neutralize it. Will and Jean battle until Will is able to successfully restrain Jean with the chain of flame, which is the same magic item as the dagger of flame. Will, knowing that Jin's weakness is flame, he came with proper preparation to challenge Jean the wind spirit. With Will's original power it would be impossible to win against Jean, but he managed to neutralize it using the knowledge belonging to the original writer. The elves could believe Will could restrain the wind spirit so easily, but Will said it was something that needed to be done. Lady shall thanks Will for saving her life and referred to him as Lord. Will told her not get ahead of herself and said the spirit is yet to regain its sanity. Will sprinkled a magical substance on Jean and the wind spirit finally gained consciousness, stopping the rampage instantly. The elves were shocked to hear Jean speak even though they don't understand what it says. The spirit language can only be deciphered by a being higher than the spirit itself, but it is possible for Will to understand it because he created the language of the spirit. Will had plans all along to use the wind spirit to his gain and play like the hero and look like he had more powers, knowing he is the originator of the story and he knows how and what to do. Will said he stopped the wind spirit from rampaging. Nora said it was expected of Will to understand the gibberish language as the god's messenger that he is, while Shell called him awesome. Jean appreciates Will because if not for Will, he would have ended up destroying the forest due to his rampage, but Will turned it down saying he would like to make a contract with Jean. Will requested to be able to use the spirit magic, which Jean immediately agrees to and requested for Will's name. The contract was finally made and Jean entrusted his powers to Will. Will thanks the wind spirit knowing that he just completed the first step. After the exchange of power in the elf forest, Nora was forced to ask if it was possible to learn the magic along while saving the elf forest. Will replied her saying he managed to learn it while saving the forest. Nora told Will that the spirit magic is something that only the previous elf elder can use and that Will is a messed up being. Will reminded himself to be the original writer after all. When they got back to the village, Will prepares to leave but was stopped by the elder who asked if he was going already. Will replied saying he has to go back as he already calmed the wind spirit. The elder asked why the trees were still remain withered and Will said the forest just regained its sanity and would return to normal after some time. Will said he can as well revert the forest to its original state and summon the wind spirit Jean. The villagers were in shock seeing the wind spirit. Will then told him to return all the withered trees in the forest back to its original state. In an instant the forest began to glow beautifully and they were all marveled at the magic. All the trees regained structure and was glowing and finally the forest was back to its original state and Will thanked Jean and also told him to fix the turbulent ley line in order not to go rampage again, to which Jean responded that he understood and disappeared in thin air. The elder hailed Will calling him Lord Savior and said to the villagers that they will hold a banquet tonight to treat the Lord Savior to a feast. Everyone became happy and the celebration started. Will stated that the village is getting very lively and Shao replied that it shows how much Will did for them and said it's been a while since the last time everyone smiled genuinely. She thanked Will again for saving her from almost becoming a sacrifice for the spirit situation. Will stretches his hands to her, telling her to drop the gloomy topic and enjoy the banquet as it is already starting. She was shocked and accepts his hands at the end. Nora, who was standing afar, thought of how the shy Shell opened up her heart so soon. Will enjoyed the feast at the banquet and explains that the elven culture rarely accepts any other race amongst them, but they treat him well with great hospitality. He stated that more importantly, saving someone was the basis of the story, but it feel great to be at the receiving end of that gratitude, thankful for being able to save the elf forest that was doomed to perish. But there's still the fear of changing the history. But if all those are being averted, what would become of Will being an irregular existence upon that world? It sounds scary, but Will is looking forward to it. Early the next day, Will was set to depart to his next destination with Nora and Shell after being sent off by the elves. After a while of journeying, Will got off the cart saying he would be fine from there, but Nora objected, asking to take him to his destination. Will answered her saying he isn't going to a far distance and it is better for Nora to go back to the royal capital and continue her job as an informant. Nora finally agreed after much persuasion and bids Will and Shell farewell and journeyed off. However, Will proceed to ask Shell if she still insists on going with him, as Elven Forest is now peaceful once again, but Shell said it is lonely to be apart from everyone else, thanking Lord Will for still being alive and vows to make her life useful for Will even if it is just a short period. She proceeded to ask Will if she is a nuisance to him, which made Will smile and told her how reassuring it is to have a companion with him. She doesn't know she has a prominent power among all other elves. She was filled with joy and promised to work hard to be of help to Will. With all these changes, there would definitely be an impact on how the story and the world would end. Will and Shell embarks on a journey by ship to obtain Sorcerer's Ring. The Sorcerer's Ring is so powerful that when one has it he can freely wield magic. This ring is an artifact which is being buried in an ancient ruin in another continent. On getting on board, Shell was very amazed at the beauty of the ship. It was her first time getting on a ship, as she spent most of her life in the Elven Forest, which makes everything seems new and strange to her. Will overheard two travelers on the ship talking about the B-rank adventurer on board with them, which seems to be an excellent magician, so they can travel with ease while boarding the ship. Will explains that the B-ranks are in the top 10% of extremely powerful adventurers, that is the why most merchant feel at ease. Dominic, the B-rank adventurer, addresses the other traveler to leave the guarding of the ship to him. He boasts about being a B-rank adventurer, that even if an ambush of multiple sea monsters occur, it wouldn't be a problem to him, which left everyone in awe and amazed by his powers, but seems quite a show-off. Dominic asked if Will was also an adventurer guarding the ship, but he replied that he was just a passenger. Dominic mocked Will of being a weakling despite have a sword. Shao was infuriated and Will wasn't moved. Dominic excused himself with his magic and told everyone to enjoy the trip, but Shell expresses how mean he was and Will expressed how it was expected because he created adventure to have eccentric personality and there is no need to worsen the situation since Dominic is going to protect the ship. This journey is going to be 5 days trip until they reach the other continent, and they smiled as the ship started sailing. Meanwhile, Shell is feeling seasick because of the excitement of boarding a ship for the first time, which made her feel sorry for ruining the trip, but Will brought out a medicine to help Shell settle down. Suddenly, an adventurer hurries down the stairs to tell everyone that the ship was under attack by the sea monsters and the magician is fighting against it right now. It sounded like something interesting to watch since there's nothing entertaining on the ship. Fighting sea monsters was the only form of entertainment they get while on the ship. Shell took her drugs and told Will not to worry about her, that she would be fine, he could go up to watch the fight. Will expresses how considerate Shell was but decide to watch it some other times. He explained that it was only the first day and they are already under attack, meaning there are more attacks to come from the sea monsters. Shell expresses how kind Will was, which made him smile, and denies the claim, telling her how difficult it is to be seasick and stay in silence all by herself. He decided to talk about Shell's talent to distract her. This shocks Shell, and Will went further to explain that though the Elven tribe have produced many excellent wind magic users, Shell's talent is clearly outstanding compared to them. Shell nervously objects, saying it is the other way around, as she can't use magic at all. This makes Will explain the two reasons why one can't use magic. The first reason being the lack of magic circuit needed to use magic and how he falls under the category. The second reason is not knowing how to use their magic circuit, which is common to people who can barely use magic, and Shao is definitely one of them. Shao doesn't believe this claim until Will brought out a golden compass which Shao exclaimed to be broken and to be facing the wrong direction. But Will counters her that it wasn't broken and is facing her. Will smirks and explains that the item is called the magic compass that points it directions to something or someone with great magic power. He continued that when they were in the elf's village, the compass was pointing at her and her magic power outran that of Nora, who he thought her power was overwhelming. Will says although Shao is unable to use her power now, she has a tremendous amount of magic talent in her. Surprised, Shao exclaims that she doesn't feel any way powerful, which made Will smile, telling her they will start training from now to unleash Shao's talent. They could hear Dominic from there telling everyone to leave the monsters to him. The people praised Dominic that no magician could match his level, making him laugh loudly, agreeing with them. Will tells Shao that she will soon surpass Dominic and the rest of the passengers when it comes to magic. Shao replies that she will work hard to meet his expectations. It has been 4 days since Will and Shao embarked on the journey, and it has been going smoothly so far. The B-ranked adventurer has been defeating the sea monsters one after the other as they appeared, which made everyone happy and joyful on their safety. Will let rude Dominic be because he was doing a great job, and when Shao's seasickness subdued that first day, they began training immediately. Shao looked stressed when Will told her to take a break, which she agreed to, immediately jumping on the bed exclaiming how tired she was. Will praised her for her hard work and commended how she is able to maintain her magic power. He explained more on how she was able to last only a minute on her first day, and by the third day she could go 5 minutes, and currently her skills increased in 5 folds since the start. Shao thanks Will and is in a hurry to improve in order to be of help to him. She continued her training energetically, making Will express how fast she is growing and how only a handful of people with magic power like her exist in that world. Will is looking forward to having her as an ally. Will wonders how there was a hidden character with an outstanding talent and he, the author, never knew of. Their thoughts were cut short when the ship shook vigorously, shocking both Will and Shao. Outside the ship, people were seen running into hiding in the sight of a very large sea beast dragon. Everyone was terrified and ran to safety. 2 of the passengers talked about Sir Dominic handling the strong beast, laughing out loudly at the situation. The show-off Dominic told them to leave the beast to him, but is scared, knowing well that the sea beast is Leviathan, which is an A-rank sea dragon, and there's no way a B-rank adventurer would win against it. The guys kept hailing him to defeat the beast as usual. Dominic faked a smile, telling them he would, but knew it is impossible because this beast was stronger than the others. Dominic knows that if he doesn't do anything at all, the ship will sink, so he decides to do whatever he could to defeat the beast. Dominic strikes the dragon with a lightning blaster which hits the monster, making Dominic laugh, but was shocked as his attack had no effect on the beast. As the dragon strikes back, Dominic uses the lightning shield as defense, but the dragon's power was greater than his, so he was overpowered. Everyone around wondered how strong the beast was that even Sir Dominic can't defeat it. They all ran away extremely terrified, screaming of his defeat. Dominic already giving up though of how strong the beast is and how he can never win against it. Just as the dragon poured blue flames from its mouth, Dominic accepted defeat, but Will came to his rescue, call out Jean the wind spirit to protect Dominic. In an instant the blue flame was blocked by Jean, leaving Dominic in utmost shock. Will tells Dominic that the Leviathan is something a B-rank adventurer cannot defeat no matter what. A surprised Dominic recognizes Will as the adventurer lookalike passenger, to which Will agrees but told him he can still put up a fight against the beast. Will tells Dominic he will be taking over the fight from there, confusing Dominic to what the hell Will was saying. Will clarifies that he can definitely defeat the beast and told Shao to look at his fighting style and try to find hers from it. Eager to learn, Shao agrees immediately. Will smiles at both of them, then moves forward to the beast with Jean. Then Will decides to check out the spirit magic strength. Can Will defeat the dragon? To find out more, leave your comments below and remember to like and subscribe to our channel for more contents.